Hi, this week I've been thinking about confirmation practices which were developed by Andy Brogan, and I caught up with Andy on Friday and we were looking at how far practices have developed since he first introduced them. And I was thinking about how I'm using confirmation practices in my work at the moment. So really I've been doing it in 5 different ways, and the first way that we've been using confirmation practices starting in wellbeing teams was role-based confirmation practices, which is where we have a statement related to the person's role, for example a wellbeing worker. We explicitly link it back to our values, and then we invite wellbeing workers to give themselves a score between 1 and 5, a personal reflection on how well they've done, and then to choose an area that they want to develop in, and over the next 2 weeks make an I will statement. So that's the principle of confirmation practices, that there are statements that you then give yourself a score for, explore that with a colleague through coaching practices, and decide what you want to do to improve based on why you gave yourself that score. I've just been talking on a course right now about how we've been using confirmation practices around team agreements. So team agreements are a set of statements co-created by a team, often based on the research of Brené Brown about how to build trust in teams, to describe how we want to show up in behavioural terms. And in wellbeing teams, in the national team, we look at our team agreements at least on a 6-monthly basis to say, how are we doing individually? So I score myself on each of my team agreements. How are we doing collectively? What's working and not working about how we're living our team agreements? Whether we want to add new ones or not, and whether we want to change any of our practices based on our learning. But with 2 people that I've been coaching, I've been exploring some other ways of using confirmation practices. And one is with a fabulous woman who's just moved into her first leadership position, coming back from maternity leave. And we've been looking at her future aspirations and how she's managing her time in her new role. So her confirmation practices are around how she's managing her time and making sure she's paying attention to her well-being and things that will support her in her future. And then with another colleague, I've been supporting him to put into practice his learning from a particular course. So we've looked at the course, turned the outcomes from the course into some specific statements so that he can evaluate how well he's putting what he's learnt into the course. So I think confirmation practices, when we think about it in terms of how we're putting learning into practice, massive implications for learning and development. When we're thinking about it in relation to well-being, massive implications for human resources. And then when we're thinking about it in terms of putting into place how we show up in teams and how we operationalise our roles, of course, massive expectations and massive opportunities to use it in operations. So I am hugely, hugely grateful to Andy Brogan for introducing me to confirmation practices, and looking forward to doing some work with him and the wonderful Lisa Gill to explain and share and explore what confirmation practices are in more detail. Coming soon.